orientation. How sorry. Okay, hey y'all. I'm just doing a quick little zippy video. I got a question about Ombre and I got a question about Galaxy Kit. And those are both two things I can show y'all nice and zippy. I know I have done them before, but I think it might be easier for me to make a fresh video versus to try and find and edit. So we're going to zip through those real quick. So first up, I'm going to do Galaxy Kit first, and then I'm going to do Ombre. So if you want to look at Galaxy Kit, I'm going to do that first. If you want to do Ombre, just, you know, fast forward through this. All right. Okie doke. So let me get going. All right. So one of the basics of glittering, sort of the most fundamental tenet, is that as you switch colors, you need to let every color dry. So if you're doing a shoe that's like, you know, this one is like light blue on the outside and dark blue on the inside. So I do the dark blue, I let it dry, I brush it, I do the top coat, let it dry, brush it. Good brushing, we let it completely dry before we change colors. But the exceptions to the rule, and I guess that's the theme of this evening, is there are two exceptions to that. Cases where we want the colors to kind of melt into each other. So we don't want clean delineation. We don't need clean edges between our colors. We want the colors to melt into each other. The first of those is the Galaxy effect, which I sometimes also call the watercolor effect because I did like a water lilies thing with it. That's also how thank you. That's also how I do tie-dye and such. But the Galaxy Kit is basically, the idea is that you are going to put multiple, let me grab this. You're going to be putting multiple different kinds of glitter into a single layer of glue. So let's get rolling with that. So we do have, this one's a little busted up, but it's going to be fine because I'm going to put the Galaxy on top. I start with a shoe that has a black base coat. So you would glitter your black base as per usual. And then the top coat is going to be Galaxy. So when you do a Galaxy or an Ombre or anything like that, you're going to want your base coat to be just kind of whatever, but your top coat is going to be your special effect layer. So first I glittered this. It has had a lot of dry time. This one's pretty old, but I wanted to grab a quick and easy black base to work with. So my black base here, and then the Galaxy Kit. We do sell this as a kit. I specifically pulled it out and now I'm having difficulty locating it. We sell this as a kit at NOLA Craft Culture, but if you wanted to just use kind of pinks and purples and teals and like star chunky confetti, you could certainly do that. So much for a quick and zippy video because I can't find my Galaxy Kit. There's a lot going on in here. 'Tis the season. Oh, here it is. Okay, so Galaxy Kit. Galaxy Kit comes with a midnight blue mix, a purple mix, a chunky confetti that has all your like stars and planets and stuff in there, and a pink and a teal. And I'm probably going to switch to the, let me see if I can switch to overhead. Y'all just hold on. Oop, orientation is locked. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to make it work with my overhead. Can I do, we're figuring it out. Just bear with me for a sec. How does it feel about that? Ah, it feels okay about that. All right, that should work. Okay, so I've got my, hopefully that works. I've got my chunky here. I've got my midnight blue, my purple, my pink, and these are a little over full because I've pooled several kits. I sort of married the ketchups. All right, and then we need a black glitter. Let me see what I've got on hand. I've got some Dorothy Lamour here. That is fine. So I'm gonna put some clean Dorothy Lamour, and I think I'm gonna put a little Murder of Crows in there just for extra drama. That is not mandatory. All right, so I've got all my ducks in a row here. Everything's ready to go. I'm gonna paint on my glue nice and even. I'm going a little too fast, so I'm gonna slow it down a bit. That's better. So a nice, smooth, even glitter coat. Everywhere that I'm going to put glitter, I'm putting a nice, smooth coat of glue to add the glitter on top of. So the trick to the Galaxy kit, as with any incorporation of confetti, is even though the confetti looks like it's going to be in the front, it goes on first. So you're going to lay your confetti down first and let everything else kind of fill in the space in between. So you can go a little slower than this. I'm trying to be zippy. Because it's the time of year where a lot of people are starting to work on their stuff, and they might be like, wait, I know I saw, what's up, bud? Can you have some fruit? Yeah, if you know where it is in the fridge. All right, and I'm getting all the nooks and crannies in there, even though a lot of that doesn't show, just for the principle of the thing. All right, nice, smooth. All right, there we go. Nice smooth coat of glue. So what you're going to start with first is a good size sprinkle of your Galaxy confetti. And we sell this a la carte as well. So you can buy just the Galaxy confetti. You can see it's all the little planets and stars and just pretty space junk. So it doesn't have to be even. You can have spots where it's kind of clustered and spots where it's more spaced out. With confetti, I always say start light because you can always layer in more, but you can't take it off. So that's a good amount. All right. Got a little glue on that page, but it's fine. Then I'm going to start to just put splotches on. They're kind of elongated. They're not quite stripes, but they're not quite dots. You know, they're sort of splotches. And the nice thing is you can go pretty quick on these, especially if you've done it before, and they can be all kind of different. You do want to make sure, hopefully y'all can see that, you do want to make sure that you're leaving some negative space, so don't completely fill in. You want to still be able to see some white on there, but you want to get some nice, juicy splotches. So y'all can see how that's looking. Splotches all over. And then I put a little bit of midnight blue. I don't do a ton of midnight blue. It's just for a little added layer of extra. Okay. So I put my confetti on first. My big pretty splotches second. And then a little bit of midnight blue. Now, while this glue is still wet, I'm going to layer the ultrafine. I'm going to layer the ultrafine into this single layer of glue. So when I add my black background, it's going to look for a little while as though my Galaxy has disappeared, but not to worry. We will get it back in a moment. So everywhere the confetti is touching the glue, the black glitter won't be able to stick. So it'll only fill in the space where there isn't already glitter. And this is not a good technique for making like stripes or polka dots. Whoopsies. For making stripes or polka dots or anything like that. But for something like a Galaxy or a tie-dye, where all the stuff is kind of blurring together, it's going to work beautifully. I always miss the toe. All right. So y'all can see that is a beautiful Galaxy effect shoe. And I would love to show y'all real quick, while we're on the subject of the Galaxy. You can incorporate some of our heavenly bodies to make sort of a modified Galaxy. This is not, I did not have this thought. This was Val, who is the event coordinator at Craft Culture. figured this out, and I think it's really cool. So you can do, on this one, I'm just going to do the wedge. So again, she kind of already had a coat of black glitter on her. So I'm just going to do the wedge, and then I'm going to pick an accent color to do on the kind of top part of the shoe. But I'm going to do a galaxy wedge. Okay, so I'm going to do a sprinkle of confetti, kind of all over. Not a very heavy sprinkle. And then I'm going to do some splotches. Just some fun little splotches. You can do whatever you want. So it makes the galaxy. All right, and then I'm going to add some kind of splotches of, this is the Pleiades, the sisters. And I'm going to do some pretty heavy streaks of this. And I credit where it's due. This was Val's idea, and I saw it and gasped. It was so pretty. All right. So I've got all my splotches in. And I'm adding the black glitter in between. And it's just extra gorgeous with a little Pleiades in there. So that's a fun option for you. Okie doke. So, okay. All right. So, that is the galaxy effect. You can use that same kind of idea to make tie-dye, to make, this is the Pleiades. The little sisters. Perfect for carnival time because carnival makes us all sisters or all, you know, brethren. So you can use that same approach to do tie-dye. I have done tie-dye shoes that way. You can use it to make like watercolor. Not watercolor, like water lilies, like impressionist. I say watercolor, but what I mean is sort of, you know, impressionistic, kind of blurry things going in and out of each other. So the year that Muses was fine art themed, I did some shoes that were all blues and greens and painted water lilies on them. And that was my little like Monet stuff. Let me just tidy up a little bit and then we'll jump right into a quick little ombre lesson. And then we'll be ready to roll. I spilled my confetti, so I'm going to try to, oh, this is my new thing. I spilled my confetti, so I'm going to try to tidy her up a little bit. Because I love this galaxy confetti and I don't want to waste any. So an ombre is sort of similar in that you're mixing multiple different things into the same kind of layer of glue. But the trick to ombre is that you want to mix your cups ahead of time. You want to put all your colors together. Not together, but you want to get all your ombre colors organized together in a little row in the cups. And I'll show y'all how we do that. I typically do what I call the 5-cup ombre. And I'll show y'all what that looks like. And I do have written instructions for the 5-cup ombre. I'm trying to figure out a good system for dispersing written things or drawn things. I have some like stuff that I would love to share, but I haven't figured out a good way to share those kinds of files quite yet. It's always a work in progress. Oh, hey, Nikki. Hello, my darling. I'm just doing a quick little demo of a quick little overview of the Galaxy and the Ombre for folks who are kind of just getting rolling on those. I know I have done them many, many times. I know I have showcased them extensively elsewhere, but sometimes with the hours and hours and hours of footage that I have over the years, it's a little bit easier to just do a quick round of that. Okay, so for my first ombre, I want to show y'all, are these looking? How are these looking? These are pretty close to dry. All right, so these have a coat of invisible jet on them, and I will tell y'all they kind of look like hot garbage when all they have is a coat of invisible jet on them. Oh, good. You'll get some little ombre overview. All right. And this one's also, so yeah, they do not look great. What they have right now is a single coat of invisible jet. Invisible jet is, in my opinion, just one of the best base coat glitters. When I'm glittering, my first coat doesn't really serve any artistic function. My first coat of glitter that I put on the shoe, that is meant to just grab the top coat. So I do my first coat, and that's just an engineering thing. I'm getting a first coat of glitter on there, and then when you put your second coat, you'll feel the glue goes on just a lot more. It's like velvety, it's smoother, it's more even. So these have a base coat of invisible jet. I can tell that I have not let that completely dry, but we're just gonna have to roll with it because for demonstration purposes, it's gonna be good enough. So on this one, I'm gonna do an ombre of two colors that are close to each other. I'm gonna do like a purple and a fuchsia. And on this one, I'm gonna do a slightly more complicated ombre to show y'all kind of what that looks like. So I think I'm gonna do, I kind of grabbed some stuff. I think I'm gonna do, this is Purple Prince, which is one of my favorite colors. And I think I'm gonna do, if I have enough, I'm gonna do Shiso 80s Fuchsia, which is another great color. It would mean the world to me if y'all would pretend that these cups are clean. I know they're not. I'm trying to make it work. Doing the best I can. I need to buy some more souffle cups. So these 5-ounce cups, these are amazing for doing an ombre, but you can save yogurt containers. You can save empty jars. At Craft Culture, we have a bunch of empty jars that are just waiting to be lovingly upcycled. All right, so this is, yeah, I got enough. There's so many colors that I feel like I'm never going to run out of, and then I seem to. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I'm like, there are certain things that just feel like utilities at this point, like gas and water and electricity and Mod Podge, like turn on the tap. Okay, so I've got Shiso 80s Fuchsia here, and I've got Purple Prince here. My Purple Prince, that one's a little bit, it's got some purple, green, and gold confetti in it, so I would filter that if I were, so that's Juicy Blueberry Cobbler. Juicy Blueberry Cobbler would work. Do I have a clean Purple Prince around? That would be amazing. That would be so helpful. I do have a clean Purple Prince. All right. So this has a little bit of purple, green, and gold confetti in it, so I feel like that might confuse people. What I do from time to time is I filter my glitter. So we have at the shop, you can buy one with a handle, or you can buy one that's just a ring that fits in the jar, and it filters out the confetti, because you do occasionally get a little confetti in your ultrafine, especially if you're working fast. Yes. Okay. So let me show y'all, I think top view would be better for showing what the 5-cup ombre looks like. All right, so I've got purple. I'm gonna go, I'll go over. All right, here we go. If this works, it'll be a miracle. All right, so I've got Purple Prince here. I've got Shiso 80s Fuchsia here. So for two colors that are pretty close together, like those two are, you don't need that many colors in between. So what I'm gonna do is first I'm gonna do 50-50. And you can measure this with a scale or with, you know, a measuring spoon situation, but I just eyeball it. Eyeballing it is usually fine for me. If I had lids, I would cap it and shake it, but I don't, so we're gonna just stir it Wicked Witch style. All right, I wanna adjust my light if I can. That might be just the best we can do at this moment. All right, so this is Purple Prince. This is She's So 80s Fuchsia. This is 50-50. This is halfway through. You might even be able to get away with just doing those 3 cups. But so what I'm going to do now that I have an empty cup in between each is I'm going to do half and half. Okay? So I went from these 2 into here and from these 2 into here. And that's just my easy peasy kind of quick and dirty ombre. And that works for a lot of things. So now I have Purple Prince, She's So 80s Fuchsia. This is 50-50. This is mostly Purple Prince and a little She's So 80s. This is mostly fuchsia and a little bit of purple. So that is ready to ombre. I do want to show y'all. Trying to clean these cups ever so slightly. I do want to show y'all a more complicated ombre as well. So, do I have enough cups? I don't really have enough cups. All right, let me do this first ombre and then we'll come back and do something more complicated. Let's do things one at a time. Okay, so I've got my cups mixed. I can't get all 5 cups, but I've got Purple Prince, She's So 80s Fuchsia, and then I've got my 50-50, and then my mostly Purple Prince, a little bit of She's So 80s Fuchsia, my middle cup and my purple mixed, and my middle cup and my fuchsia mixed. So I've got those all ready to roll. Now what I'm gonna do, and I'm just setting them aside, now what I'm gonna do is put my glue, my top coat glue, okie doke. So the rules are slightly different when you're doing a semi-sheer, but today I'm doing opaques. And we can get into sort of the nuances of different ombres. Maybe at a later date it would be worthwhile to do. But I only wanted to hop on here for like half an hour and knock this out real quick because then I gotta go do dinner and night and all those good things. So you can maybe see, you can maybe even hear how smooth the glue goes on top of a dried coat of Invisible Jet. I love Invisible Jet. It's useful for blending because it's kind of a little bit creamy, so that's how I make like my cheese for pizzas and stuff. But the #1 use for me of Invisible Jet is as a prime coat. And the nice thing about your prime coat being structural but not design is that you kind of, if you know that going forward, you can kind of take a little pressure off yourself when you're doing your base coats. Base coat is an activity that I do like with a glass of wine and not a lot of focus and just kind of a zen thing. Whereas your design stuff, you kind of want to run a tighter ship than that. Okay. I'm trying to decide if this would be good to do overhead or... This might be better overhead. Let me grab the overhead. Sorry to keep jumping back and forth. Boop. All right, let's see if this will work. Okay. Purple, mostly purple, a little bit of fuchsia, 50-50, mostly fuchsia, a little bit of purple. It's easy to say. And then here's all fuchsia. So what I'm gonna do is pour a stripe of ombre where my ombre starts. Okay, so far so good. Now what I need to pay attention to is the direction that I pour. So I'm going to continue to make stripes, but I can't pour them into the clean glue. I have to pour them towards the stripe that is already glittered. So this is my mostly purple, little bit of fuchsia. Mostly purple, little bit of fuchsia. And I don't turn this and pour it this way. I pour it this way. I don't want my glitter to touch the wet glue. And you can barely see that it's transitioning a little. I'm gonna make that a little wider. The nice thing about an ombre is that you don't have to like measure it. If some of the stripes are thicker and some of the stripes are thinner, that is no big deal. The eye will correct. Okay. So I've got 2 stripes down, middle stripe. Here we go. So we're going from purple into fuchsia. We're about halfway there. And you want to kind of look and see kind of where you are. About halfway up the shoe, you want to be about halfway through your cup. So that looks good. The other thing I want to mention is I personally try to leave the entire heel one color so that I'm not trying to line a stripe up on the heel. I ain't trying to deal with something that fiddly. So I want to do a very thin stripe here. Boop-a-doo. Again, I pour it off in the direction that I've already glittered. Though I do want to mention, and maybe I should just show y'all, if you do mess up and accidentally pour it the wrong way like that, just take a little bit of glue and kind of freshen up your glue a little bit. That'll help. You don't want to go all the way into it. You just want to kind of lightly tap your way in there so that you don't create clumps. But then you make kind of a fresh line. So it's not the end of the world if you pour in that direction. All right, and now we're done. All we need to do is fill in with our fuchsia. And you don't really have to pay attention to directionality now because you're just down to your last color. Oh, and before I give that a real, so I'm gonna clean my fuchsia out of the way because when I give this a good hard tap, you know, that goes into my special. So can y'all see how it moves kind of gently from one color into the next, just because I put those stripes on there. So that's gonna go into my special. All right, so can you see how pretty? So this is my purple prince. This is my, then I go mostly purple prince, then I'm 50-50, then I'm almost all the way there, and then finally I finish on the fuchsia. And so when this dries, well, I could maybe do that. This is slightly ambitious, so don't feel the need to do this if you aren't. When you're glittering, you always want to leave yourself a nice handle to work with. And this isn't really a great handle, but I do kind of want to show y'all how she looks. And then I'll probably do like an accent color, like a nice gold, or I guess this year maybe a silver on the inside and the outside. You can ombre the inside and the outside, but you know. All right. Do. Nikki, I was just trying to lightly. Yeah, I find I can't make the colors blend in the glitter. In the glue. I can't add them in an ombre way, but I can mix them ombre and then put them on in clean stripes. Hopefully that makes sense. So anyway, that's a pretty nice ombre. She's looking pretty sharp. Let's see, 28. Let me real quick show y'all what a slightly more complicated ombre looks like. So that's for when your colors are close to each other. So if you go like blue to green or like red to orange or yellow to green, something like that, I would do just a 5-cup ombre. If you're doing something slightly more complicated, you may just need a few cups, and that's a slightly more advanced situation because you need to kind of eyeball it. If it looks abrupt in the cups, it's gonna look abrupt on your throw. I'm pretty happy with that. If I put some gold on her and some gold trim and some gold glittering, she's gonna be very cha-cha. All right, let me put her away. And you can see, let me grab some stuff. Where's my Swifty boot? My Swifty boot is out there because I'm putting, so like this, same thing. just little stripes. I pour them on. I kind of pay attention to the direction they go. All right. All right. So let's see. Oh, classic mistake. Don't start putting the glue on until you've got your cups mixed. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a pink to green. I'm going to do a little bit of a like wicked ombre. So I've got Nikki de Saint-Fael. And I've got rosé colored glasses. And I've got extra cups here. So it's hard to see because, it's going to be the same as I did before, but slightly more cups. So I'm going to do about 50-50. All right, that's about 50-50. And then I'm going to do a lot of pink, a little bit of pink, a lot of green, and a little bit of green. And I'm going to kind of try to scooch them. And I'll show y'all, I'll give you a little peek of the overhead. But when I'm doing two colors that are kind of far apart, it's a little tougher to figure it out. All right, so one sec. I've got pink and a little bit of green, slightly greener. These two both look the same, so I'm just gonna pool them. So that's looking all right. I think that looks okay. So it's not a true, I might put one in the middle. If you have, anywhere you have kind of a jump, just do 50-50. All right, so that looks pretty good. All right, so let me real quick slap this on here. Exact same principle as before. We're doing little stripes. So if you're doing more colors, your stripes are gonna have to be a little thinner, but just kind of pay attention to where your halfway point is. All right, so quick coat of, I'm gonna do, all right, because I've got these pink bubbles. I wanna do pink bubbles on the front, and I wanna do the witch hat and the broom on the back. So I'm gonna go pink to green. Easy enough. Stripe of pink, rosé colored glasses. To label and store, yes, that's an amazing question. Very, very good. And I think, aggravatingly, when I do a live, and then I think the comments disappear when I archive it. But the question, in case y'all can't see it later, is do you do a bunch at once, or when you store them, do you label them? 100% you want to label them because you think you're going to be able to tell which one comes next in the order, and you are not. So what I usually do is I take kind of gently used jars that are empty, clean them out, and then put my mixes in there and I number them. All right, so you can see we've gone from pink, we've started to get a little bit into green, and then I'll do, so this would be my halfway point, so I'm gonna widen that last stripe a little bit, though I want a fair amount of green at the top, so if the transition is a little bit narrower, I'm not worried about it. All right, but you also could ombre a bunch at once. Once you have your cups mixed, you can kind of, I definitely do like a ton of galaxies at once usually, because once I kind of have everything set up, it's easier to roll with that. And so I'm almost to the end. I want my little bit of pink, mostly green mix to come right up to the edge of the heel. And then I'm going to fill in all of this nice bright green. The lighting's a little weird, but hopefully y'all can see that. And once I fill that in with black and trim it and put my pretty little witchy accessories, I think that's going to be very cute. So that's the basics of Galaxy. That's the basics of Ombre. I hope that's helpful. Shoot me any questions if you have them. I'm going to go make dinner. Y'all have a great week glittering. Thank you for joining me, Nikki. Good to see you.